We're back with a surprise, impromptu, not impromptu, live to tape, predisposed, predetermined, press play. I don't know what we're gonna call this thing, but we're
Sir,
doing
all
something a
you
little
had to do
different.
is say we back. We tape press play because we had a private previous engagement. That's all you had to say.
We're going to say like a private engagement.
I mean, technically it is because I mean they could come,
I
but
mean, it's not private.
what you looking at, buddy?
Yeah, almost like it's not private.
I mean, it's public, but I don't know if they can make it by the time this comes up.
Well, no. By the time this up, they would already have been there. But yeah, so we are doing something by the time this goes up for y'all. But we wanted to give y'all something for press play because we said we would be back 2 weeks ago. We would be back in 2 weeks, so this would be the 2 weeks.
No,
Somebody
we
did
were.
rightfully say, hmm?
Oh, that's right. We didn't do anything last week either.
Yeah, we was out eating food and being men.
That's sexist because there were women out there too.
I said what I said.
That's sexist. I need you to be better. And in 2023, I need you to be better.
Okay, I just meant being we was manly.
I
The
mean,
ladies are manly too.
women can shoot guns too.
Yeah.
And matter of fact,
Um,
some women did not well. Not
they
those women.
didn't.
Now, my aunt, if she was out there, she would have won the whole thing. She is banned from actually competing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, we got a couple of topics to talk about
Hey,
for
buddy.
our special press play
Yep.
here. We're going to talk about the passing of a legend, at least in my eyes and many eyes for people who love 90s martial arts, chop socky, hip hop, kung fu, Power Rangers, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And talk a little bit of Marvel news because why not? Marvel's the big giant, so we can always talk about Marvel. Where you want to start, sir?
Let's start with JDF.
JDF, Jason David Frank. He passed away at the age of 49. All the reports indicate that he may have died by suicide. I don't know if an official cause has been given yet.
TMZ reported it, so
Yeah, I think some other people have too. And I don't
yeah.
know if we have like a coroner's report or anything. I've kind of once the
Not
news
yet.
came out, I was kind of just like, I'm good. I don't. We're both in the news. People who know us know that. And sometimes there are some stories that just hit you like, okay, I got the headline. I'm good. I don't need to know all the details just because of how it affects me. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, Jason David Frank, man, this is big for me. I am 38 years of age at the time, or as of
That's
right
it.
now. Yeah, just 38.
Hmm. I
Um,
would have thought older. Little hard life, man.
I was like, where is this going? Um, but yeah, Power Rangers came out in the 90s for me. I was probably in fourth or fifth grade. It hit me at the right spot. Um, Seeing these kids be cool and do their kung fu moves and wear these cool suits and wear all these and have all these toys and stuff and have explosions with monsters. It just hit me at the right age.
Hmm.
Um, and then Power Rangers was cool, but then they added the Green Ranger,
And that's
and
who
that
Jason
changed the
David
game.
Frank played.
Yes, that was his original Ranger.
Hmm.
And as we go through this, again, I have since not followed Power Rangers as much as I used to. It's still
Hmm.
going on. It's still current. I don't know everything. But yeah, he came in as a Green Ranger. He kind of changed the game. He was this cool kid. He wasn't really he wasn't even really cocky. He was just everybody wanted to be Tommy because he was cool. He was originally a bad guy, and his original contract he was only supposed to be in. I don't. People who really know they'll know maybe 10, 12 episodes, something like that. But he proved
Hmm.
to be such a fan favorite. They're like, oh, let's find a way to make him somebody else. So that's how he became the White Ranger and all this stuff. But yeah, man. After Power Rangers, he kind of started his own form of martial art and started teaching that to people. I want to say he did a couple of like MMA fights or cage fighting for a little bit,
Hmm.
and that's about what I know of JDF.
Really, that's it.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah. I mean, I didn't
No, I
follow
just
the. I just he was a nice dude. I met him at Comic Con one time. I liked him, but I didn't follow everything that he did.
oh, so you're not a stalker. Okay.
No, no, I'm not a stalker.
Okay.
I just appreciated him and respected him, and I've always liked him because, and for the most part, what I hear, most people who do Power Rangers know what it is once they get out of it. You'll see a lot of them at like the Morph was it MorphCon, PowerCon, whatever the Mighty
Mhm.
Morphin official Power Ranger convention is. You'll see a lot of them doing there, and they kind of realize, they meant a lot to these kids who are now
Yeah.
adults like me, and
Mhm.
they're very receptive and well, they like their fans a lot. But Jason David Frank, I think he hit harder with others. Just something about him, he really resonated with the fans, and even after he left Power Rangers, he came back several times.
Him and the guy
His
who played the Red Ranger came back on numerous or various iterations of Power Rangers.
Yeah, but not like JDF. JDF came back a lot. JDF became a doctor in the world. In the world of Power Rangers, Tommy Oliver is a doctor, which
Hmm.
is just like, sure, why not?
You heard that, buddy? He's a doctor.
Yeah, he's a doctor on Dino Force, I think. But yeah, you got questions about him? You want to? Cause I know for
So,
you. So how old were you when Power Rangers came out?
I was. When did it come out?
I want to say like 94, 95.
That's not solid. So let's look at the Wayback Machine called IMDb, and let's pull up when Power Rangers actually hit. If you want to know more about Power Rangers, I there's a channel. His name is Dan Larson, and I would like to say that he does a very good job of documenting all things nerd and the history of nerddom, and he does a very good job of like breaking down Power Rangers where it started. Um, so is it called Power Rangers or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
I would look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on IMDb is the movie. Came out in '95.
Okay, so then maybe
So
check Power Rangers.
uh, hold on. Jason David Frank, Tommy.
Like at this point, it doesn't matter.
It does. Because I can tell you exactly where I was, but I want to make sure I get this exactly right because this is important for when we talk about this. Hold on. Dino Thunder. That was a thing?
I literally just said that.
I'm messing with you, man. I'm gonna do that a lot tonight, just so you know. So, Mighty
Cool.
Morphin Power Rangers from Saban was a TV show that lived from '93 to '96. I don't know if you remember this, but this was one of the big things that made Fox Kids a big like put them on the map. So I don't know if you remember Fox Kids was a big thing with the X-Men cartoons. Hey, buddy. Hey, you're
Batman, yeah, all
supposed to.
that stuff.
Yeah, You're supposed to be fucking sleep, but you're not, are you? So, um, me and Owen looked it up, '93 to '97. So that's a huge for in a very short period of time, '93 to '96, and then I think the movie said I said
You
it
have
came out
said you have said 96 and 97 and 96. Which is it?
93 to '96. I'm trying to go
Okay.
back and do Hold Him and then go back to when the movie came out. So '93, I was in high school.
Okay.
Reason why I know that is because I graduated in '94 and went
Okay.
into the Navy in '94. So this hit me in high school. So I watched it, but it didn't hit me like it hit you.
Sure.
So that's so for a lot of people, and the reason why I mentioned Dan Larson and there's I think Mojo, Watch Mojo does another very good like sums up this Power Rangers mania that happened. Power Rangers was big. I don't know if people understand, and you can speak more to this. I look at it more like a historian because it didn't hit me. I like to go back and I remember when this was going on. Power Rangers was so big that when they were at one of the, I don't think it was Universal, but I'm trying to remember which uh, amusement park they were at. They shut down the interstate for people trying to get there because they did live shows. So not only did they do the TV show, they went on tour. They did live shows, kind of like what you see Disney on Ice, Bluey, or some of these other, big name, the Wiggles. They did live shows. They were pretty much the first people who kind of did that, who would go on these live shows and perform, and they sold out
Sure.
like they were a hit. Power Rangers. I mean, it was Power Rangers was everything for that age group that you talk about from 93 to 96. So when JDF hit the scene, I won't lie, I know about him because he was the Green Ranger and he was the one that all the meat. I will never forget when he dropped into the Dino Sword and started whipping everybody's ass and then kicked them out of the Dino Sword and just
Everybody,
start
Leroy, you
and
don't understand. When that happened, we were like, "Wait, people can go into the Megazord?" Because that you hadn't seen that before. You're like,
no.
"Wait, no, that's crazy." Yeah, he was a badass. He was a
When
rebel.
JDF when the Green Ranger popped up in the Zord and they was like,
Hmm.
son, that meme is like top 10. Like that gif is top 10. And then when they like, because they always do the thing where they like fall and they like do this thing, and they just like all got kicked out of the Dragon Zord, and then Tommy
No,
was just
no,
standing over
kicked
him.
out of kicked out of the Megazord.
Megazord, Dragon, whatever, nigga.
They're not the same. Don't do that. I'm trying to save you. All right.
look, you can put my ad. You can put my ad up. I don't care. I'm trying to
Hmm.
keep this baby quiet so the
Hmm.
other people at my house don't wake up.
Hmm.
When he kicked them out and commenced to whipping five people's asses by himself,
Hmm.
that's when you realize, oh, he's arrived. This
Yeah.
dude, this dude, like they say, Mama, that's a bad man. That's
Hmm.
JDF.
Yeah. For you, it meant something on the meme level. Like looking back on it now, for me at that age, it was a sense of because there was something like a sense of security in the Power Rangers, and they were always going to defeat the bad guy, whether
Yep.
they had to use the Megazord and the sword
Mhm.
to defeat it, or use their weapons to come together, or whatever. They would always beat them. But seeing somebody like kind of breach their
Their
fortress, you're
defenses,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, you're like this is something crazy. So as a kid, you're very impressionable, like, oh, this is you're not
This
really
is
sure
real.
what's yeah,
This, like, this,
you're not sure what's going to happen.
mhm.
It was cool. Um, I've kind of seen a bunch of other tributes for JDF and everything going around, and I can't remember who said this first. I heard it from Kind of Funny, but they were quoting somebody else's Twitter. I want to say Tamora Hussein, who
Mhm.
might have said something to the effect of JDF. One of the reasons why JDF was so cool is that he proved that anybody can have a redemption story. And even if
Ah,
you're a bad guy or something, there's always a second chance for people. Because, like you said, he was a bad guy, but he became around and became one of the
mhm.
best Rangers.
Yeah,
Um,
because he
he's
became the White Ranger.
yeah, and even before that, because he was the Green Ranger that was good for a while. But man, about to get nerdy. I want to say Rita Repulsa had some sort of spell or some sort of candle that burned that was going to take away his powers.
Mhm.
And it's kind of, and I'm not going to say they're exactly the same, but it's kind of reminds me now of
Mary Beth.
no, this is pop culture stuff. It reminds me of Tony Stark talking to Peter Parker in the first Spider-Man of
Mhm.
the MCU.
Homecoming.
Yes,
Okay.
Homecoming. Yes, Homecoming. When Tony says like, if you're nothing, what do you say? If you're nothing without the
You're
suit,
nothing
then you
about the
don't need the
suit.
suit.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind of like Tommy's like, what is he going to do? Because he doesn't have his powers anymore, and it just showed a level of determination and a level of growth for him that you didn't really see um,
Mhm.
in Power Rangers overall, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay. So here's my question, and
Sure.
I say this. Do not put. I shouldn't have gave you that. So I don't know why I gave you a bottle opener. Probably shouldn't have given you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my wife does not watch these. Hopefully, she won't watch this one. Because I just gave the baby a bottle opener. uh, this comes on the heels of Wakanda Forever, Black Panther,
Hmm.
and if you see right here, I have the Black Panther helmet. We just got done talking about Chadwick Boseman, rest in
Hmm.
power. Um, Chadwick meant a lot, meant so many different things to so many different people. And I say that in the fact of JDF, Jason David Frank, meant a lot of things to many different people. There's so
Hmm.
many different people who met him. We just talked about that him and the Red Ranger. I cannot remember what that guy's name. Hold on, I'll get it real
Austin
quick.
St. John.
Austin St. John.
Come on, boy. Who you talking to? Come on now.
I'm gonna do everything I can to annoy
Okay,
and try to get you off your game. I'm letting you know that now.
cool.
I'm going to see how good of a Power Ranger fan you are. So it's almost, we've talked about this with Star Wars. People have come into this Power Ranger genre at different points in their life. So for
Hmm.
different people, you talked about JDF. He's now a doctor
Yeah.
in that timeline. So different people have met JDF, the Green Ranger, aka the White Ranger, at different points in their fandom when it comes to Power Rangers. What does JDF mean to you? Because here's the thing, and the reason why I asked this, think about this for a second. I'm asking this. You've seen him. You grew up. You were the perfect target age for this franchise. You've grown up. If you had to guess, I would say you probably own more Power Ranger stuff than anything, right?
It might be a tie between that and Ninja Turtles.
Okay. I'm you have met JDF.
Hmm.
You've told me you slept overnight to get into Hall H, correct?
Yes. Yes.
To get an opportunity to meet Jason David
W-
Frank.
Separate, two separate things.
Okay.
So I slept outside overnight to get into Hall H. That was separate
Mhm.
from meeting Jason David Frank. I slept outside
Okay.
twice. Once to get into Hall H.
Ooh.
I also
Oh,
slept
sorry.
out. Oh, cop it up. I also
It's
slept
okay.
outside to because Comic Con is all about the collectibles and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I slept outside to get one of I don't know 200 or two maybe 500 limited edition Comic Con versions of his Dragon Dagger.
Yes. I know
So
because I've
that's
asked you, do you need a different version of you? Like, nope. I slept on the ground for this.
yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I slept on the ground for that, and then once that happened, there was a thing where you could get in line to get an autograph for him. I had to
Yes.
sleep in line for that, but I was already entered into that because I slept in line for the dagger.
Okay.
Needless to
Anyway,
say,
so
yeah,
the reason why I bring that up and the reason why I asked you, I said, think about it now because you have gone to lengths to meet this man
sure.
and to collect the memorabilia for this thing that you remember, child. What does it mean to you, JDF? What does that character mean to you?
I think to me, he is just a guy just trying to do his best, which I think is a struggle anybody can relate to. Whether
Mhm.
you've done some bad stuff in your life or whatever, you're just trying to change, you're trying to show that you can be a different person. And I just like the fact his character was like that, but him as a person, granted, I talked to him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm sure if he was still alive and I went up to him today, he wouldn't remember me, and I don't need him to. He's met thousands of people, but the 5 minutes that he gave me was so important
hundreds
to
of
me.
thousands of people probably.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the 5 minutes that he gave me was so important to me. I've tweeted out the photo I have of he and I taken together, holding the dragon dagger
Mhm.
that he signed for me, and you'll
Mhm.
see like. And I think when I tweeted out, I think I said something like, "I don't show a lot of emotion a lot of times."
Yeah,
And this is probably the biggest smile
because
I've
you're a
ever given.
robot. We understand.
Sure, this is the biggest smile I've ever given, just because it was so genuine and heartfelt that I got to meet this guy, and
Mhm.
the person, my lady friend, um, who was with me, went with me to Comic Con for
Oh,
that
she
particular
did.
Comic Con. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
she was not happy that I slept outside. That's another story we could talk about. She's
oh,
like,
we
"Why
got
are
to
you
talk about
sleeping
that.
outside?" I was like, "I got to get my stuff. That's Comic Con, girl. Chill out." But
I'm
when
quite sure you said it nicer right there than you said there. You probably be like, "I'm gonna sit on the side. You better watch your tone. Who you talking to? Because I am Michael Patterson.
never talked like that in my life,
I
but
gave you the
I
ultimate warrior,
yeah.
Randy Savage."
I remember when I was taking that photo, and the
Uh-huh.
comment that she said has always stuck with me. She's like, "I've never seen you smile like that ever since I've known you."
Sir, that's
And
an
she was,
indictment. And she
I
was
know,
upset, was
I
it?
know she was, and I was like, I don't know what to say. I was like,
You
he
know what you
just
should
meant
have
that
said?
much to me.
Should have said, "Do better."
Okay, great.
Should have said, "Do
Anyway,
better."
but that
Step
comment
your
was
game
just
up.
it was telling, just because
This
he
white
meant
man
so
meant a
much to
lot to
me.
me.
Yeah, he did. Yep. Yeah. He just meant so much to me as a kid, and then seeing him grow up, or seeing me, me growing up and seeing
Both
him
of you grew up
do other
because
stuff.
think about
Essentially,
it. Because essentially, even though he was a little older than you, as you said, you were in the fourth grade, essentially both of you grew up at the same time. You mentioned you're 38. He passed away. How old was he? You said
He was 49.
49.
Hmm.
That's I mean, that's 5 years older than I am.
Hmm.
Um, wait, 5 or 4? Shit, I don't know how old I am.
I was like, how does math work?
Trust me, I've had that conversation a lot this week.
Uh-huh.
Buddy, where are you going? You're trying to get everywhere, but where you're supposed to be. And I say this because here's the thing. I think the reason why Chadwick Boseman meant a lot to people, being Black Panther, being one of the first superheroes, black superheroes, and JDF is because they caught people at that right time. They caught people. It was a cultural experience, not just for Chadwick Boseman. And I'm not saying they're the same. I'm comparing the effect that they had on fans and their passing because it was sudden. No one knew outside of his inner circle that Chadwick was sick.
Hmm.
And I don't know what if the reports are true. I don't know what caused JDF to in his life. However, I do know that the effect was massive on fans. When you look at the tributes, when you look at everything, when you have toy companies saying, "Hey, this dude meant a lot to us," in the sense of we made toys and we had like I don't know what it feels like because I don't have an action figure of myself, but
Sure.
I could not imagine what it's like to play a character and then the toy company says, "Hey, this is you. You mean this much to people that they made a toy out of your character, and you are known for that character." That speaks volumes to how good of I don't say how good of a person. Well, you know what? Yes, I will say as good of a person he is, because there are people who are characters and nobody cares and gives a shit about them because they're
Sure.
terrible humans. We've
Sure.
seen that through the nerd world. I'm not going to name any names. You can go look them up yourself. But there are a lot of people who are terrible people, who people like don't meet your heroes. I have never heard anyone say that about Jason David Frank.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Not on any of this Twitterverse, whatever this hellscape you call social media. Do not reach for the beer. Thank you. Had it
Y'all about
right.
to see a baby get drunk. Oh Lord, I'm complicit. I'm an accomplice. Damn it.
Yes, you are. Um, but think about that. So, in the world of getting canceled, whatever you want to call it, no one has come out and said Jason David Frank did that. Like nobody. He was a good dude,
Hmm.
and he meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah. Um, he will be missed.
He will be
I'm
missed.
wondering. I almost kind of want to go back and start watching Power Rangers again to see what the show is going to do, if and how they're going to honor him. I'm wondering.
I'm quite sure they'll
Um,
throw up a slate and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
we
but I'm wondering if they're going to write something in a story and like the passing
ah
of the character. I'm wondering
mm,
because he meant so much and because he was in so many seasons. So like we talk about Power Rangers being 93 to 96, but again, that was just like the original
that
version of Power
iteration,
Rangers. Right.
that iteration from Saban, it kept go like Power Rangers has been going on for 20 years.
Yeah, Power Rangers is still going. We met. What was the guy's name? He
Rory
was a really
Travis.
nice dude. Thank you. Yes, awesome. Very very nice dude. Met him. Got to talk to him.
Yep.
I mean, Power Rangers is still going.
Well, I remember
So,
because he made me go watch the Dino Riders.
oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah, like I
cool.
like so, and that's why when I said the
Oh man,
go ahead.
now it comes back to me. Jason David Frank meant so much that he inspired people to become Power Rangers. Because I remember he and I were talking about our favorite Rangers, and we were talking about JDF is always number one, and we were talking about our favorite moments of Tommy being on the show.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, he just
Sorry,
inspired
Beast
people.
Morphers. It was Beast Morphers. Rory
Okay,
David D. Travis. He was from the 2019. I think his run was like 2 or 3 years, but he was Beast Morphers. I apologize.
okay,
I didn't get it
gotcha.
right. I want to make sure because
Sure.
Power Rangers fans, whoo,
Yeah,
they be in some comments.
yeah. But I mean that just shows you how much you meant to people behind the scenes, in front of the camera, behind the camera, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I'm wondering if we're ever gonna. I wonder who else would have that. We talk about people like Chadwick Boseman. We talk about people like Jason A. Frank. I mean, honestly, we talk about people like Kevin Conroy. Um, when he
Ooh,
passed
still,
too, you know,
yeah,
they didn't pass the same day, but they passed probably within what 2 weeks of each other.
yeah.
Kevin Conroy and Jason David Frank, pretty close. Um,
Hmm.
big segments of pop culture were for different people, but like just that's it's interesting when these icons pass and how their legacy is going to be remembered because people are always going to remember the stuff that they did. You wonder how the the material is going to go forward. Like we talked about it when Kevin Conroy passed. Who's going to be the next voice of Batman that we're going to be like, okay, this guy's cool. And it's not that he has to because Kevin Conroy was so iconic to Batman. I don't think this that whoever the next person is to kind of mainline Batman's voice. I don't think they're going to have
Hmm.
to try to compete with him. It's just we're just wondering what they're going to sound like. And I kind of wanted the same thing for Power Rangers. Who's going to be the next Ranger that people are like, oh yeah, this is my Ranger. It could be Austin St. John. I don't know. The only thing about Austin St. John is sometimes it seems like he had like a negative attitude at points, and I think people kind of hold that against him. Whereas JDF, for all accounts, he was pretty much always positive.
Here's it's not a bad thing. I don't, and I'm going to say this and be honest upfront about this. There may never be another JDF moment in Power Rangers as far as like what he means to the fandom as the Green Ranger, whipping all these Rangers' asses. Because I will, for me, even though I was a teenager, I was in high school, learning about the birds and the bees. I still checked in because that lineup of Fox, people don't understand. Like, I really wish there's a documentary that goes into Fox Kids and what shows they had and the
Yeah,
grip they had on the nation. Um, because let me tell you, Fox Kids
was
ruled the
killing it.
world
Oh yeah,
during the 90s. The
yeah.
90s belonged Fox Kids. And I say this, and it's not a bad thing. It's just there may never be another Jason David Frank as far as that character in Power Rangers mythos because of the time it came out. It's almost like, and we say this, we may never get another Darth Vader
Hmm.
because the when it came out, the effect, again, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have people spoiling things. That whole ideal of James Earl Jones being the voice, walking up, and Empire Strikes Back. No, Obi-Wan lied to you. I am your father. And Luke is like, Mark Hamill's on that skiff, like, no, no, it's not possible. We may never get that moment where the Green Ranger enters the Dragon Zord or Megazord. Notice I did the air
Uh,
quotes, right?
I mean, they are different. They are
I'm
different
just,
mechs, but
I'm just,
sure.
I'm just fucking with you. I like doing it. But think of like you as a Power Rangers fan know more than me. There may never be that moment where somebody enters a Zord who ain't. It's one of those moments you ain't supposed to be here. Just
Yeah,
hands to the face,
yeah.
and they got thrown out, and he still commenced the whipping their ass. That may never come again. And that's one of the things I think also is a powerful statement that not anybody could have done that and handled that character and been appreciative of the mantle that they were given. Because again, we met Kevin Conroy. You talked about that. That was, if you didn't know that was Kevin Conroy, you would have just thought that's another regular old white dude who's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just like he had no entourage. He was just him. And he was just excited to talk to us as he was anybody else.
Hmm.
And no matter how much we talk shit about the business that we're in and how all this other stuff, I will never, never be unappreciative to the opportunity that News 19 WOTX gave us for the opportunity to interview and to start the News 19 nerds to meet an icon or somebody who meant so much to me.
Sure.
Because I would not have gotten that opportunity to interview Kevin Conroy if it hadn't been for News 19, who then allowed us to be the News 19 nerds, who then allowed us to start this channel. that was just a Kevin Conroy was a regular dude, and Jason David Frank, from by all accounts, was just a regular dude who understood he meant so much to so many people.
Yeah. I mean, we've been going on this for about 30 minutes. I mean, we can switch to the
I,
next topic.
before we switch to the next topic, I do want to say, and I want to share my screen. We talked about this. It hasn't been confirmed by a corner, but many different um, uh, news agencies have reported that it was from suicide. I do want to say, if you are struggling with suicide, here are some resources to help you. 988 is you can call or text. It is the suicide and crisis lifeline. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis related stress or worried about a loved one, you may need crisis support. Here's a number to call. We know veterans are another group that deals with uh, suicide. Uh, here's a We want to make sure you have these resources. On my screen. I'm sharing with you um, from the CDC, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you go, hey buddy, hold on. Suicide Prevention Resource Center. Um, there's also there's enough resources out there, but I wanted to make sure we put that out there before we switch to the next topic. If
Sure.
you are having a 988,
All right.
all right.
Very good.
So
You kick this one off.
so I don't know why. Well, you know what? I have a theory about why. But lately, this week, another person, another prominent member of the film community, has come out and has made comments about uh, the situation in Hollywood. Director Quentin Tarantino has said this is the worst in Hollywood history. In a podcast, he says, declaring that there are no more movie stars because the marvelization of Hollywood. He's not the latest. He is the latest. He's not the first. We've had everybody from Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese. We've had actresses like Jennifer Aniston. All have said negative things about the MCU, superhero movies, and Marvel. I I have a theory, but what? So I sent you an article, and I will share this my screen so people can read this article.
I mean, you might be better off just putting it in the link once we post it. But all right.
I'll put it in a link too. So because as people are watching that, they see the link. I want them to be able to. There he is. Why Quentin Tarantino's worst film ever comments are so offensive. This came from Noah Bartolansky. Yeah, Noah Bartolansky. He's a cultural critic. I follow him on Twitter. I don't always agree with this guy. He says, why Quentin Tarantino's worst film era comments are so offensive. He sounds like an aging crank yelling at the kids to get off his grass. It also makes him sound like he's yelling at women to get off his screens. Now, I'm not going to go that far, but I am going to bring up a very interesting point that a lot of these people who have these comments are old men who are complaining that someone else is in the spotlight when it used to be them.
Sure.
And that's what I've noticed. So when you heard these comments, what did you think? What was your opinion? Because you were like,
First
we've talked
opinion
about
was,
this before.
well, I mean, first opinion was like, all right, sure, whatever. At this point, it's kind of just white noise of people complaining about whatever. I think it's very easy to complain about whatever the biggest, baddest thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Whether it's a sports team, like you, for example, you don't like the Patriots,
I don't
and
like the
and
Pacers for various reasons.
and yeah,
One,
and you're
because they
not the
cheated.
all
They
right.
cheated.
Uh huh.
I'm not. They cheated us in the Super Bowl.
Uh huh.
Jake Delhomme, and Steve
Uh-huh.
Smith should have a Super Bowl ring. They cheated
Hmm.
us just like they cheated the greatest show on turf,
Okay.
the Rams, St. Louis Rams, by the way. But I've let that go. Not
Okay.
angry anymore. However,
Okay.
comma, the Patriots are one of the greatest teams in modern Super Bowl history, NFL history. And
Yeah.
it's very easy to take shots at them.
Yeah. So I mean, whether it's sports, it's pop culture, whatever, it's easy to take whoever to take shots at the big dog in charge.
Hmm.
Um, so I would be more interested. And again, there's so many different layers to this. Not everything is for everybody. So
Okay.
I think it's perfectly valid for people to be like, you know what, I don't like these movies, but I wish their reasoning. Sometimes their reasoning to me seems flawed, and again, I don't know what's where they're coming from. But the idea that this is the worst period in cinema does seem crazy when you were buddies with your boy Harvey Weinstein, who was
Now,
out
now
here
here,
doing some raw
pause,
stuff to ladies.
pause. Two things I want to bring up.
Uh huh.
Noah Bartolaski um, is not a big Marvel fan. He is
Correct.
very critical of the Marvel movies and the MCU as a whole,
Hmm.
um, which I understand some of the points he makes, which is interesting because the reason, and this is part of the reason why I brought this up, is because he is one of the people who is not a big fan of Marvel, and yet he has come out in defense of the MCU and Marvel against Quentin. And come on, buddy, you got to drink some more of this because I need you to go to fucking sleep. Um, and you brought up a very interesting point that here's a person who was buddy buddy who owes his career to, again, you mentioned it, Harvey Weinstein. So
Yes.
continue. I wanted to bring those two things up because he brings up a very interesting point when he talks about that. Um, uh, Everything isn't for everyone because we have said when we did the house party trailer, maybe this isn't for us.
Hmm.
We said
Yeah.
that because we didn't like the trailer. So continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure because I don't want it to be one of those things where we're like, we have thought about this and we've talked about this at length. So this isn't something new that we're just like Marvel heads. Although Marvel and Disney, if you want to sponsor us, Bob, I heard you came back to the game. Uh, we tried, y'all.
Did you say Bob Barker?
Bob, I
I know. I mean, I sound like you said Bob Barker.
mm.
I don't know. I didn't know if that was an
I said
alcohol
Iger.
company.
Now you know
Okay.
English is not my first language, so
Okay.
continue. I apologize,
So
sir.
yeah. So going back to the whole Harvey Weinstein thing, and when I bring that up, it isn't a thing of Quentin Tarantino. I don't know what he knew and when he knew and whatever. So I'm not trying to say he was
Some
complicit
people
in the
did
stuff
know though.
that fine. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying he was complicit in letting things happen with Harvey Weinstein. What I am saying is, Harvey Weinstein did back him, and Harvey Weinstein was doing horrible stuff. So I think it's wild to say this is the worst time ever in cinema.
Now
Um,
he credits this worst time in cinema as being. Here's one of the things he says. He said on the Video Archives podcast, he thinks that the era is just as bad as the 80s and 50s cinema.
okay,
Now, now I have a problem with that just because of what movies came out during the 80s that we like that are revered. Like, you got a lot of shit to say about the 80s, but there are movies that will stand the test of time that came
sure,
out during the 80s. Continue. I
sure,
just want to make sure the 50s and the 80s, bro. Okay, continue.
okay. So what was I saying? You keep interrupting me. Um,
Harvey Weinstein,
yeah, Harvey
worse in history.
Weinstein, worst in history. Um, I feel like whenever these people say things, I feel like they don't have enough facts behind the stuff that they're saying because I never hear anybody say, "Oh, I watched this and I didn't like it for this reason." This reason A, B, and C. I feel like a lot of times they just say the MCU is
Preach.
is destroying history and destroying cinema and stuff. It's like, but did you even watch it?
Hmm.
And true, like we just said, not everything is for everybody. But I feel like if you're going to discredit something a little bit, at least say
for
I
this
haven't
reason.
watched this. It's for this reason or this reason, or go with us. It's not for you, and that's cool.
Because here's the thing: Noah will say why he doesn't like the MCU. Noah
Uh
will tell you, "I don't like this movie. I didn't like this movie because he's very like he's critical to where I almost like stopped following dude. And I was like, come on, man, you coming hard for the MCU and you didn't come this hard for Fast and Furious. But I stick with him because I respect his criticism because he watches the content. He says, this is why I don't like this. So I'll give no. And so for him to come out in defense of the MCU and the opportunities that it's given people, I respect his criticism.
huh.
And you have been a very big critic of Quentin Tarantino of late. You did not like The Gentleman. You were very critical of The Gentleman. You were very critical of Django.
Who
Um,
was?
you were.
I like Django. What are you talking
You
about?
like Django, but you were very critical of it in its flagrant use of the N word.
Well,
And
my whole
so
thing with Quentin Tarantino, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Is just Quentin
no, you're not.
Tarantino. Just I don't know. I feel like he tries to skate the line with what he does.
Oh no, he crosses the
I
line.
think sure. I think I do enjoy his movies,
Mhm.
um, but I think there's a as much as he wants to, be mad at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I do feel like his movies have a similar pattern of they're going to be hyper violent.
Mhm.
They're probably going to have a very cool soundtrack, and they're going to have liberal use of the N word. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. Cool, but don't tell me,
I can't enjoy this.
yeah, don't tell me I can't enjoy something or that something is formulaic when you have tropes that you fall on too. I mean, that's your style. It's who you are. It's cool. It's what you're known for. And I enjoy the stuff that you do sometimes, but don't be mad at other people because they have a style. I think.
Now, I will say this: as a fan of some of Quentin Tarantino stuff, some things I'm not. I know a lot of people love Reservoir Dogs. I wasn't a big fan. I know a lot
I
of
like
people.
Reservoir Dogs.
I like it, but I don't love it. So I don't know if you remember if you were a big fan of cinema when Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction came out. I was like, okay, I like it's different, it's new, but I like it wasn't. It didn't hit for me. Quentin was an auteur or a genius until later on some of his later stuff.
Hmm.
Like Inglorious Bastards, Django, Hateful Eight, some of his stuff, it's like for me it's hit or miss. Now I
Hmm.
will admit, I'm not like all in on it, but I kind of want to see what Quentin Tarantino would do with Star Trek.
Sure, why not?
I'm not saying that it's going to be a hit, but I want to see how he gets away with calling Klingons niggas in space. I really want to see it because it's coming. Say what you will, Quentin Tarantino is going to give us niggas in space. I'm just saying we didn't
Is
get it in
is
Fast and the Furious.
he
It's
is he still doing Star Trek stuff
no, it's
or
not
no?
coming. It's not.
Okay,
It got because we don't even know if we're going to get Star Trek 4 now because the
right.
everybody involved says it's not going to happen. But I was like, I was kind of waffling, but I was like, you know what? Let's see him do it. Let's see him rationalize Samuel L. Jackson with the Klingon mask and whatever on, yelling at another Klingon in Klingon language, and I want to see the subtitles in Klingon calling another Klingon a nigger because he uses the word in every movie. So I want to see him get
Hmm.
away with it. Um, I my theory about this, and I've noticed it with all the same people. The reason why people are complaining about the MCU, it's a little bit of what you said that it's easy to take shots at the big dog. If you're Alabama, if you're the Patriots, if you're the political party in power,
Hmm.
it's always easy to take shots and be the contrarian. But there's another component to this. Quentin Tarantino and a lot of these other people were, and I use this word, and I mean it when I say this, were the auteurs of cinema.
Hmm.
They were the renegades. They were the people who were doing something different. And they were the ones who were being showered with praise, who were walking the red carpet and being called geniuses, who were being called cultural icons for what they did for cinema. Remember, Quentin Tarantino is the man who is credited to revitalizing whose career?
No, I don't know.
Really? You should. Pulp Fiction. Whose career did he jumpstart? Who was a big name star in the 70s?
In the
John
70s.
Travolta. Do you
Oh,
not
okay.
remember that? Do you not remember that Quentin Tarantino was the genius behind giving the world John Travolta again? He was the man who gave us The Bride. And
I do remember that
mhm,
he would pick older actors who maybe hadn't done anything in a while and be like, "Oh yeah, this
Robert.
person's still cool."
Mhm,
Yeah.
yep. Remember, that was the guy who everybody fawned over, who everyone gushed, who had to have him on his podcast or being interviewed. And I'm not saying he's not important to cinema. I'm not saying he's not a good I'm not saying he's not a good director. But here's the thing. If you had to pick a movie that was the biggest movie, it wouldn't be any of Quentin Tarantino's movies that came out recently. It's always a Marvel movie. Whether they're good or bad,
What do
a
you would
Marvel
define biggest? You mean like that made the most money?
made the most money and the most talked about. Gets the
Hmm.
most clicks on Twitter, gets the most clicks on a streaming service. Oh, this is coming to streaming. It's always an MCU movie. It's the one the MCU is what drives traffic now.
Hmm.
And when you have been in the spotlight for so long and you've been credited for doing so much for the culture of cinema, it does sting a little bit when you're not the focal point anymore.
Hmm.
And Martin Scorsese is just as guilty. Remember, Marty, as they call him, was the darling. He's the man who gave us one of the best gangster movies of all time, Goodfellas. He's the man who gave us Mean Streets. He is so iconic that he plays himself in different genres. Oh, we got Martin Scorsese. So it does sting a little bit when you're no longer in the zeitgeist, when the new generation has come and you're not part of it. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we're talking about, whoa, buddy, I felt that. I don't know if that was a fart or a poop, but I felt it. And again, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it has a lot to do with, here's somebody who's a director who
Hmm.
probably has a hand in producing things and says, hey, I like this person. Hey, could you maybe be a part in my movie? I'm looking at doing something. And that person says, nah, man, I got to cut these 5 Marvel things.
Yeah.
And you're pissed because you would like to have maybe somebody who maybe may not be on the up and coming, or maybe a star who just got cast, like, I don't know, Julia Louis Dreyfus. I'm not saying she is, but she's tied up right now in the MCU. You may have wanted Chris Evans to do something, or Robert Downey Jr. But here's the thing, I noticed that they're talking a lot of shit now, but none of these people who were talking shit put Robert Downey Jr. into their movies. In 2008, when Robert Downey Jr. was doing Iron Man, they could not insure him. Remember that?
Hmm.
He was in the same boat as another person who did Mean Girls, where they had to pay out of pocket to insure him to be on set.
Mm.
I noticed that. I noticed that they didn't have that vitriol for my man Christopher Nolan, who did the Batman trilogy. You notice that?
Right.
I noticed that they pick select targets when they say this. And that's the theme that I've noticed, that these people are no longer the cool kids. And what's the most backstabbingest place we've talked about outside of politics? It's Hollywood. It's that place where people vie for the attention and the comfort and the approval of others. Look what I
Sure.
made. Look at what I did. Love me. And I'm not saying that that is exactly and the only thing. I know I'm preaching, buddy. I know. Look at me. I'm on a roll. Um,
What a rule.
I'm not saying that's all of it, but I'll be damned if it's not some of it. Because all the people who are complaining, all the people who are knocking it, don't have anything to say when their friends do one. When Christopher Nolan was at DC, none of them were talking. When Christopher Nolan did The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger was doing Joker, I didn't hear anybody. When Todd Phillips did the Joker and Joaquin Phoenix was cast, did you hear anything? Was
True.
anybody complaining?
True. Um,
It's for some reason it's the MCU and something about the MCU bothers them. And I think part
Now,
of what go ahead.
I think part of that is because I don't know if it's a direct one to one comparison because the DCU is not as prevalent movie wise as the MCU is.
True, true. I'll give you that.
But having said that though, yeah, for the most part, people are like Nolan was making critically acclaimed Batman movies, but they're still superhero movies.
Yep.
So I mean, it is tough to be talking all this mess
Hmm.
and not think, yo, I'm doing the same thing here.
Yep. Yep.
Um, do you think there will ever be a time when we get we get a one of these people who have badmouth these movies to come out and say something about them?
I think what's going on right now is that hold on. Before I answer that, explain that a little bit more because I want to make sure I get your point. You said one of these people to come out and say something. Explain
Oh,
that.
so well, sorry, to not say something. I meant like to like maybe decide to be like, oh, I am going to work with Marvel now. I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to write a script or something. Like Quentin Tarantino's like, oh, maybe I will make something with Marvel, or Mark Scorsese be like, I'll make something with Marvel. Do you think that'll ever happen?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
And let me say this. Yes, only because I think deep down inside, because you know this for a fact, because, and I'm not comparing. You know this for a fact. As a producer, the word no is a challenge for you in the sense of someone telling you you can't do something as a producer.
Hmm.
In the back of your mind, you're like, you're not as good as I am, and I can do it.
Hmm.
I can pull that off because I've seen you be challenged like that. It's a sneak because I've done it to you before, and you've done, and we have done it to each other. Because
Sure.
there have been things that you've scripted, you've been like, nah, we can't do that. I don't think you can pull it off. And I'm like, I'm incredulous. I'm like, nigga, who did you just say I can't do that? And you'd
Sure.
be like, I know you could. I just, and I think in the back of their mind. Now, I don't know if Francis Ford Coppola is going to come around or Martin Scorsese, but do I think Quentin Tarantino thinks that he has in him a superhero script or a script where he's like, I'm going to show you how it's done?
Hmm.
I did Kill Bill 1 and 2. I took a movie, split it up, and I gave it to you in two parts. And god damn it, I bet you I could do. I think he'd come around. I just think nobody's approached him. And I think that's what's killing them. No one has come to them and said, we want your vision for this.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing. I bet you if James Gunn came to Quentin Tarantino and said, you know what? I'm willing to give you whatever property you want. Outside of this, you could write up a treatment. Let's see what you got. I guarantee you he ain't turning it down. I put money on that because I think he's the right kind of person who, if you challenged him, because again, this is the man who was a failed actor who they told you can't do this and then turned around and then became one of the greatest directors in Hollywood. And I say that as a fan. I'm biased. I like Quentin Tarantino's work. A lot of people don't like his grindhouse stuff. I love it. I
Hmm.
love Death Proof. I love Robert Rodriguez is movie. I love that whole thing. I love the fact that he gave us Zoe Bell. I love Kill Bill. I think it's a little gratuitous, but I tell you what, I love The Bride. I love The Pussy Wagon. Don't get me started on Quentin Tarantino and the fact I took my dad and my brother to see Django on Christmas. We
Okay.
laughed like that shit was Looney Tunes.
Okay.
When he said, "Do I break? You know what? You sons of bitches, the hoods." Fucking classic.
Hmm.
Nothing is funnier than that goddamn Don Johnson scene. Are we wearing the hoods or not?
Hmm.
But I will say this: Quentin Tarantino, when it comes to the MCU, is not one of the cool kids in the room anymore. And I don't know him. I'd love to meet him. Quentin Tarantino, friend of the show.
Friend of the
Come on,
show. Yeah.
friend of the show. Let's talk about it. And as much as I love Django and I can appreciate Django and the movies he's done, I will never discount what Black Panther means to me. I
Hmm.
will never discount what it means to have that. You know how much Black Panther shit I got.
Yeah.
You know we've talked about this ad nauseum. Chadwick Boseman being from South Carolina, the fact that that is the first black superhero, the fact that the Marvel Enterprise gave the most money to a black director and all black cast has never been done before, and it was Marvel that did it. You're not gonna get me to talk trash about it. So when I say that saying he's not the cool guy in the room anymore. He's not the person when the girls walk by or the guys walk by and they're like, ooh,
Hmm.
I want to sit at that table. They want to sit at the Marvel table now because Marvel has all the money. They're a conglomerate. They are backed by one of the largest multinational corporations. Because, and we'll talk about this at length later on. Here's the thing: what people are not paying attention to. If you think Marvel is just quantifying the box office when it comes to this, they're not. They're looking at, okay, Black Widow. All right. How much money did Black Widow make? Let's look at how much interactions we have with people when it comes to selling the action figures of Black Widow, corresponding to the amount of people who come to the parks who actually interact with the people who are Black Widow and the things that are adjacent to Black Widow before we greenlight. And I understand that that commercialism, that capitalism inside of the movie business is sickening.
Hmm.
But you didn't say shit when it happened to Jurassic Park. Have that same energy for that six-tiered franchise when it came to Jurassic World Dominion. Keep that same energy when it came to Universal and the dinosaurs. Keep that same energy when it came to Universal and the Fast and Furious and Vin Diesel run around talk about family when he turned into a superhero in Fast 9 when he broke those chains.
I mean, he was a superhero in like five, but yeah.
Was it
All right.
5 or 6?
He was morphing into a. Let's say he was morphing into a
He was
superhero.
morphing.
Yeah.
But that's the problem that I have. Like you said, they don't critique the movies themselves, they critique the business. And we all have sold our souls in one way, shape, or form to be in the business that we're in. You just don't like that the business that you're in is sold their soul to the mouse, the house of mouse. That's it. It's the only difference. But I guarantee if one of them came calling and parked a truckload of money, you'd write a treatment for Man Thing or you'd write a treatment for Blade. Because
Sure.
here's the thing. We're creatives. We all have it in the back of our head. I could do that. You know for a fact. You've thought in the back of your mind, you know what? If I sat down, I probably could write a Power
Nope.
Ranger strip.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. Never thought that.
You're not arrogant enough. I'll work on
I
that.
guess not. Yeah. It's like nope. Never thought that.
I mean, like I've thought that I could write a comic.
Okay.
Maybe not a movie. I'm not ready for a movie, but I was like, you know what? I could be an assistant director on a TV show. I
Hmm.
could probably do that. I mean, we're if you when you think about some of these people, they're arrogant enough to think, oh, I could do that and it not be commercial. I can make it and I can make it art. Because
Sure.
at the end of the day, these people are competitive. And I believe that's the only thing separating them, that they're just not at the table.
Let us know in the comments below. if you think they will ever come to the table. Will they get a seat at the table? I don't know.
You
Let us
think
know below.
Marvel's going to turn down Martin Scorsese if he says, "I want to direct the crime families of the Marvel universe. I want to
I don't
do a
know.
Wilson Fisk TV show."
I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Shit.
That would be interesting.
You
Or you
think
know
that
what?
would happen?
Also in the comments, let us know the people that have been critical of Marvel. What kind of role would you like to see them do with Marvel? That'd be interesting. In the comments, let us know.
I want Francis Ford Coppola to do. Uh, I want him to do Man Thing. No, I want Francis Ford Coppola to do Swamp Thing.
Okay,
Let him get weird with it. Martin
fantastic.
Scorsese, I want him to do the Marvel crime family. I want him to do a Wilson Fisk um, treatment. I want him. Yeah, buddy. And Quentin Tarantino, I challenge you, sir. Friend of the show, I challenge you. I want you to give us your take on Lex Luthor, and I want him to call Superman a nigger.
On that, folks, we're done. Uh, I've been rolling through the supers here, but I'll go through them again. Like, comment, subscribe. You can follow us at
Watch
We
this be the
Trying
one
at
that goes
YouTube and
viral.
Facebook. That would be wild. We Trying y'all at Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. What got you through the past 2 weeks? I guess that's what how we
Son,
wrap this stuff
honestly,
up.
uh, Dark from
Okay.
Netflix. I've been watching
Were
that.
you
I'm
trying
on
to?
the
Are you
last
trying to
season.
finish that before you watch the new thing?
1899 dropped
Okay.
this week, this past 2 weeks ago. I was trying to watch it because 1899 supposedly is made by the same creators as Dark. A lot of people, when we did the trailer reaction to Dark, sorry, not Dark, 1899,
1899.
were like, "You need to watch Dark. It it is it is a mind fuck. That's all I can say. It really is. It challenges your perception about what time is and time being linear. It is very good. The actors and actresses are amazing. I don't know anything about German or German culture other than alcohol and the little time that I spent there. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to go to Germany after this. So I
Okay.
just want to hang out. I'd like it. Like the German Tourist Association should really be banking on this show because as messed up as it is, that country, if they shot it in Germany, is effing beautiful. Ain't that right, buddy? He's watched it with me. He's been up
Okay.
when we watch it. I don't understand half of the stuff that they say because I got the subtitles on, but there are a couple of words that do overlap. It is
Okay.
amazing. Dark is amazing. And I say this not understanding half of the sites, but it's good. So
All right.
I've enjoyed that. And I'd like to say you have done me a disservice because you did not tell me how good Avengers are because I've been playing it for the last week and it's actually pretty enjoyable.
You're not
I
gonna
mean,
get me. Anyway,
what's
so
got you
for
good?
me, not
Persona
gonna do it.
5?
Persona
Roy.
5, indeed. As soon as I get off this call with you, I'm probably gonna try and play a little bit before I go to sleep. Um, for people who have followed us for a while, know that I was playing Persona 5 originally on PlayStation 5 when it came out as part of the PS4 Greatest Hits collection or whatever.
Mhm.
I stopped playing it for whatever reason. Something else came out, and then Persona 5 just dropped
I know what it was.
on what
Horizon Zero, Horizon Forbidden West. You start playing that.
could have been.
Yep.
And then
And then
Persona 5 has
Hospital.
just
When it
redropped.
was Hospital, some hospital game you were playing for a while too.
2 Point Hospital. Yeah, I mean, I
Yep.
play that off and on, but yeah, PS5 or Xbox Series X now has Persona 5 Royal. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
I am trying to min max everything and get all my relationships super up there, so I'm gonna be playing it for a while. But that's what got me through. TV shows. Was I watching any TV shows? Oh, I know I'm behind, and I
On
think there's
Andor,
some more
yes,
coming
you
up.
are. You are behind on Andor. We need to do a review because I'm saying this right now. Andor might be one of the greatest things Star Wars has done in the last 10 years. You are
Okay,
behind. Yeah.
sure, that wasn't what I was talking about. For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus. That is a
That's Ron Morse, the creator, not creator, who restarted Battlestar, right? That's his show,
I
right?
believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a really good show about
I've heard it's good.
NASA and just an
An
alternate
alternate
history.
history. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
they went to
really
Mars
good.
in this last one, right? This last
I mean, I'm
season.
trying not to spoil stuff for people.
I mean, that was the trailer. They got
Not everybody watches the trailers.
we
All I know is they in space.
literally did a review of the trailer
I don't think so.
on our past channel. I think we did. Yeah,
I don't think so.
it was one of the videos we didn't put up
Okay. But
because it
yeah,
was
it's
Stillwater for All Mankind season 3, and there was another one. There was like a couple of trailers we didn't put up. That's on our past channel. Hey, buddy,
but
come
yeah,
on.
that's got me through the week. But
Okay.
we will see you guys.
And this
Will we
guy,
see you
he got me
next
through the
week?
week. Yeah, we go see him next week. We go try.
Oh,
Oh,
I
also,
might be at another concert next week.
no, you're not, because next week is oh, maybe it's 2 weeks after the Video Game Awards.
Yeah, that's like in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's on the 8th. Next week is
Oh.
the 3rd. Because I think I might be in Atlanta for a ballet recital. I think. I don't know. But I don't know. If not, we'll do something else. You guys will
Yeah,
see
me
us.
and this little guy.
All right.
He's starting to
Y'all
grab
wave
stuff
bye.
now. Look at him.
There,
Look at him.
there we go.
Yeah.
Bye, folks.